Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Spreaker, you name it. I'm going to streak on every single platform possible. Why? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. And that's why we have this show, balancing out all the bad news that's so readily available as soon as you wake up and start doing the MS, meaningless scrolling. So we do not talk about what is in the news right now because you got plenty of places to do that. This is the place you know to come for the last 633 through 2 consecutive weeks where you know you're going to get no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kanye talk at all, formerly or now. Instead, you're going to get topics and guests and co-hosts and series that affirm how amazing you are and how amazing we are. And it is Wednesday. And as you can see, my co-host, Dr. Tiffany Tate, is here. That means it's time for Doctors in the House with yours truly and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
Welcome back to the studio, my darling. I hope you've had an amazing week without me, and we're going to catch up. Let's give you a little love first.
Always a pleasure to be here, Dr. Marissa.
Those of you who are tuning in for the first time and don't know this particular co-host, a little about her. She's a U.S. Navy veteran, published author, and retired OBGYN from Compton, California, although she still has her license. She's a playwright, singer, poet, songwriter, and more. Dr. Tiffany is the published author of several books, including an important children's book, my favorite, called Bad Touching. There is also a new book with music that's coming out this fall. And if you missed the musical show we had last week on Doctors in the House, her kids came back celebrating graduation and sharing some music and a particular album that's out right now that you'll want to pick up. It is a gospel jazz. So remind me of the name of it.
Gospel Translation to Jazz is available on iTunes and Spotify. Download it today. You will not be disappointed.
There you go. And as usual, we're going to start with breakfast with my co-host, which is 8 things at the top of the bun is gratitude. What outside of yourself are you grateful for? And then the bottom of the bun, which we're going to model for you, I want you to do it before you go to bed at night, is what are 8 things that you like about yourself? Not 8 each, but 8 total. And we're happy. We love it when people whose eyeballs are in the studio participate with us on the chat. If you are driving and now tuned in on the AM 1050 FM 106 side, please do not chat or type in your gratitudes. But when you land safely, free subscribe on my YouTube TV channel where you'll get an alert every weekday morning to tune in, and then you can give us your 8 cents worth and your gratitudes. So taking a bite of the gratitude sandwich, Dr. Tiffany, what are you grateful for this morning?
I am grateful for making it to New Jersey safely. We are here. We traveled from California to New Jersey, and we made it safely.
Did you wait? You didn't drive?
No, we flew. No.
Okay, good. Great. I have fond memories of Jersey Shore when I lived in Philadelphia. So peace in, peace out to New Jersey. I am grateful that the preparations for my China trip are firming up beautifully. I have confirmed I'll be speaking at 2 different universities in Shanghai. And as of last night, I'm confirmed to be the spotlight speaker for the Beijing Women's Network. So I'll be speaking and eating in Beijing. And I am trying to figure out if my goals are realistic to just not gain weight when I go to China. I don't think that's realistic, but so we're looking for a number to not go over. On the other hand, hey, you don't go to China all the time. And the food is, last time I was there in 2019 and I was in Jiangxi province, and man, those dumplings were good. So there you go.
You need 8. The lucky number is 8. Remember, the lucky number is 8.
Are you giving me permission to gain 8 pounds? Oh,
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah, I'll be putting my dating project on hold until I can lose that when I come back. But anyways, what are you grateful for?
And when we got here, we were able to make our connection, but our luggage did not. So we had to go back to the airport to get our luggage. So I'm thankful and grateful and praising God that our luggage did finally come. So I am thankful that we got our luggage.
Oh, yes. Well, you may have picked up a little of the Tao curse. So my mother's maiden name is Tao, like Taoism, which is kind of interesting. It's peace, right? But yeah, it seems like every time we travel, something happens. So it's become the Tao curse. So good. I'm glad you got it, and I'm not going to have it on my trip.
No, we check off the box. We got that out of the way.
But kudos to you. Notice how she used that as a gratitude instead of complaining. So you get a gold star for that one. All right. Last gratitude for me is I am grateful that I finished taping the last 2 songs for the next level of the international karaoke contest that I have been part of and continue to rise in the rankings. So fingers crossed as I submit. Although I just noticed, Dr. Tiffany, when I read the rules really, really carefully, it said they prefer landscape. And, I do the Meta. I'm a digital creator for Meta, so all my stuff is this way. So I just emailed them and said, can I still submit?
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
You're so awesome. They'll wave that.
Oh. Now I know why you're my favorite co-host on Wednesdays.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise I get in trouble. But that's it for the top of the bun. We're going to go to the bottom of the bun. The reason why I ask you to look at what you like about yourself instead of criticizing yourself, that we all have this horrible habit of, is to help ourselves with our own mental health. That's my BS, my belief system, that your ability to have good mental health is 100% correlated with your ability to care for yourself, love yourself, soothe yourself. So frankly, if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork do you expect anybody else to? So that's what we're doing right now. Bottom of the bum, we're working that muscle. So Dr. Tiffany, what do you like about yourself?
I am a good strategizer. I think I'm good at problem solving, and not just for myself, for others. So I think I'm good at strategizing and problem solving, and I really like that about myself.
Yay. I appreciate that. I am learning how to go with the flow. I'm an East Coast planner, y'all. She's laughing because I used to. So we just got a finger for one of our comments, but thank you for the finger, not that finger, but this finger from someone in the love stream in the Cashew Gallery. But I used to plan out. I knew what I was doing 6 months to the day of. And one of the most challenging things about living on the West Coast has been that is not a shared preference for so many people. And so to be okay when plans change, I know, Dr. Tiffany, this is related to my recovering control freak. I get it, but it is definitely, I think, something that, It's part of my 12%. I don't think I'm ever going to get it down, but I appreciate that I continue to be very trying around going with the flow and not taking it personally when people cancel on me or don't remember.
I think that when I go on vacation a lot, I tend to plan everything out, like you said, to the T. And a lot of people like that about me because they're like, okay, if we go on vacation, Tiffany will have read all of the reviews. And I usually start out with the worst review. I'm like, can I deal with the worst review? You know, I see all the 5 stars, but no, I'm going to go straight for the 1 star and I'm going to read it in detail from top to bottom. And if I can deal with that worst review, I will consider that place. And so I think
Okay, you just made me feel better about me.
So I'm like, okay, and if I can't deal with that worst review, nope, on to the next place. So I think that when people travel with me, they're like, okay, we want Tiffany to evaluate it and to decide where we're going to go, what we're going to do, because she will have evaluated it and broke it down to the worst possible denominator. And I know I'm telling myself, but it's true, people. It's true. It's hard.
Yes. I think it's wonderful that we're both sharing our 12%. It may be great for us, but spontaneity obviously is not both Dr. Tiffany and I's strong suit.
We're recovering type A's.
Yes, we are. No, we're A pluses. I'm sorry, not a type A. We're a type A plus.
Yeah, we're trying to get to A minus. Trying to get to A minus.
Yes. No, just an A.
Yeah.
No minuses here.
We're trying. I said we're going to. We can have aspirations.
Oh my goodness. If you're wondering what's going on in the studio today, what is the topic? There's no topic yet. We're getting to the topic. We have a great topic. Dr. Tiffany picks the best topics, but we are just finishing up breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
Here on Doctors in the House on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah. And you can watch and listen on my YouTube TV channel or LinkedIn or Facebook. We're just happy to have you. And that's the end of breakfast. I promise if you repeat this good life habit or hashtag Blisscipline every single morning, starting the day with gratitudes and appreciations, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. I have to get Rick to be on that applause button for me. So, all right. Drum roll, please. What is the topic of the day, Dr. Tiffany?
The topic for today, we're looking at the complication with comparisons. Because a lot of times we look at people and we can't help it. It's something innate. And we compare. We compare ourselves. We compare our children. We do it at work. We do it within our families. We do it within relationships. And it's something that we do. Now, there are healthy comparisons, and then there are unhealthy, toxic comparisons. What do you do? When do you draw the line? And how can we course correct? And do we want to course correct?
Yes, my promo mind went to, you say envy like it's a bad thing, or got envy, or one of my favorite expressions that is on my 52 card pick-me-up motivational card back that I'm hoping to find a printer to produce in China, another side goal of this trip. So it says, if you think the grass is greener on the other side, ... water your own lawn. So that's part of the solution, which is the second half of the show. I want to stay for another 14 minutes. Are we at 19? My glasses. Anyways, the first half of the show, 10 minutes. I love to focus on the real. So the real, not REEL, but the REAL. What is it that we usually do, and the relatability of this topic? So I'll confess first. It's funny, I'm watching Mean Girls, the new one, and that is a classic comparison movie, right? I mean, it just smacks of comparison. My mother, bless her, it's not one thing, it's your mother. Every single holiday and vacation we would take, the first or second day, she would make my dad drive through the richest part of wherever we were, whatever city we were, and she would ooh and ah and turn green at all the mansions and all the money and all the fancy cars and all the fancy people. And I got turned off from a very early age of that. Look what they have, and then followed immediately by look what we don't have, followed immediately by Dad, you should do more. You should be more than a professor. You should become a director. You need to make more money. And that whole slope has kind of really allowed me to step out of that. Like we just do a little bit better than our parents. So that's our only job when it comes to parenting. So I made a point of not doing that with my kids. Now, we did not go to the poorest parts of town and say, aren't we grateful? But I am focused on gratitude. And I did that when I was kids, to look at what we do have instead of what we don't have.
Yeah, I think it's really important because there is always this concept of keeping up with the Joneses. And I remember when Nathaniel was a young kid in elementary school, and we lived in Tennessee, in Brentwood, a suburb just outside of Nashville. And he came home from elementary school. And it was really funny because he came home and he was like, "Mom, are we rich?" And I just looked at him. Yeah, that was the look I gave him. I'm like, no, what gives you that idea? I was a resident, so I really wasn't rich. I was a doctor, but I was a resident making resident money. And if anyone knows, residents make a fraction of what practicing physicians make. They make maybe $30,000-$40,000, which is still a significant amount, but it's not like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so he came home, "Mom, are we rich?" And I'm like, "No, what makes you think that?" And he was like, "Well, my friend told me that we're rich." I said, "Number one, you're in elementary school and you don't have a job. And what mama has is what mama has. And you have got to get your own. So you are very, very broke. So don't get it twisted. You have nothing. So you have got to get your own." So I wanted to make sure he understood that he has to get his own education, to get his own money, and to earn it for himself. And as they grew up, when we moved back to California, I would make sure we would drive through Los Angeles and through Compton, which is where I was born and raised, and say, "This is where I grew up." And so as we began to accumulate things, these are just things, and you have to work for these things, and you have to get your own things. But those are just that, things. And so a lot of times we begin to compare our kids, even within our family, saying this child is smart, that child isn't smart. And I think it's important when we start to praise our children, when we give them, grades, letter grades. This child has an A, this child is student of the month. And we do want to recognize children and make sure that they're perceived as being special. And, Mia graduated cum laude, Nathaniel graduated with honors cum laude. And you want to make sure they always get these accolades. But a lot of times, in recognizing certain children as being special, other children are not being recognized as being special.
Yeah, and that's a very it's systemic in our society. It's systemic in our culture as Americans. You in school, who has the right answer? You raise your hand. You praise those who have the right answers. You ridicule those who don't. Recognize with awards. And so it's it's a point of contention. I've had read in the past, people who want to do away with any kind of special recognition because it does bring up that I feel bad. But on the other hand, it's like it is a motivation to have people work up towards. So, where's the balance in that? I don't want to get into solution yet, but that is something we can talk further in a little bit. But I will say that another real thing is I used to cringe when my mom would say, "Why can't you be more like blank?" Right?
Mhm.
And then they have this and that. Why can't you be more like? And I'm sure everybody's had that experience at some point. And again, where's the line between it being a motivator and then a demotivator? Because if you hear it too much, you're like, F you, I'm going to do everything possible to make sure I'm not like that person, which is our own internal brat. Have you had that?
Yeah, yeah. Even at workplaces, when you're at your job, no one wants to be compared to a fellow coworker, because when you're working hard and you're doing the best that you can do, you don't want to be perceived as a slacker or be perceived as someone not as good as, because usually most people are doing the best that they can. And I think it's important for everyone to work hard. And I think that there is healthy competition, because healthy competition helps you do better, it motivates, and then it helps encourage. But then there's this toxic underlying dismissive, envious thing that's not good. And even when you do it in relationships, because if you have relationship problems and you're being constantly compared to someone's ex or someone in your family, that can also cause problems too. Because I think there was something that I saw on Facebook. There's a thing. It says, "My boyfriend always compares me to other girls and puts me down. What should I do?" And you don't want to be compared to another girl saying, "Oh, well, she's skinnier than you," or "I don't think you should do that," or "I don't think you should wear that. You shouldn't wear your hair like that. You shouldn't put that makeup on." And I think if someone isn't satisfied with you, maybe they are not satisfied with you.
Kick them to the curb. And as usual, I have no tolerance for stuff like that. But then my question becomes, why would you, if this is a habit, like how many times does he have to do that? And why is he still your boyfriend? So that brings up the real, for me, when I teach Tai Chi, I do this one form called the butterfly. And the butterfly comes out of when we're kids, when we're young, we really have very little self-consciousness. You see kids walking around, they know they're beautiful, they know they're loved, and there's no comparison. And I used to think it was just if you had damage when you were a kid, if you had the message that you're not good enough, or you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're clumsy, those are the messages I got, is when you develop that I'm not good enough message. But if you, I did a little study when I used to do career days, or I'd go and volunteer in the classroom, and I would ask kids from the age of 4 or 5, when I was volunteering in preschool, how many of you have a voice in your head that says you're not as good as the other kid, or you're not as smart, or you're not as beautiful? And like kids 5, 6 would look at me like, what are you talking about? Right? And then age 10, it might be younger now, but when I was, doing that experiment, around the age of 10 is when that very critical, condemning, put shackles on your ability to try new things or to put yourself out there, because of the fear that it will show how unattractive or stupid you are. That humiliation factor that seems to be the teeter-totter side of envy.
Yeah. And I think that it's important to really figure out the why. And so as I was doing my research, I learned a new word called the CL, the comparison level. And a lot of people may not know what the comparison level is. And according to researchers called Thibault and Kelly, the comparison level is the standard representing what people feel, not what's reality, but this is what people feel they should receive in a way of rewards and costs from a particular relationship. And this is whatever an individual's comparison level can be considered. And so this is whatever satisfies them. And this is based on their exchange theory that they developed back in like 1959. And this was the social exchange theory. And this theory states that partners try to minimize their losses and maximize their gains based on some theoretical principle. And basically, it just states that people judge their satisfaction within a relationship in terms of profits minus loss.
Say that one more time.
It says people judge their satisfaction within a relationship in terms of the profit it yields minus the loss.
Okay.
They want to make sure that they get more than they give. Kind of like how you do this. That was based on the Thibault-Kelly theory in 1959.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But that speaks to what I just said about the woman who, if that's on the feed, that her boyfriend, which implies you've been with them a while, constantly compares you with other women and puts you down. That speaks to your comfort level in having that happen. Right. So that comparison, that your internal comparison is something that is, we're going to establish here on the show. If it's making you feel bad about yourself, that's on you, boo, first and foremost, not on the other person. There's a beautiful African-American saying, when there is no enemy within, no one outside you can hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that, I just love that, because if you are receiving negative criticism, then it hurts because there's a part of you that actually believes that. But if someone calls me stupid and I know I'm not stupid, then it shouldn't bother me if they say I'm stupid, right? Because I just know better, right? But if there's a part of me, and there is, that thinks that I'm not as smart as people think I am, then that's going to hit.
Yeah. And then you also have couples comparing their relationship, or one person in a relationship comparing their relationship to other couples. And that can also cause a lot of problems as well. And then you continually get into this cycle where you end up with dissatisfaction and resentment, and sometimes even envy and stress and unnecessary strain.
Yeah, for sure. If you've just tuned in, you're wondering what's going on in studio today. This is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. 25 years strong, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel that you can watch, listen, and chat on. And today is Wednesday, so we have the beautiful co-host of Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
And we're going to take a quick break to recognize the sponsor for today's show. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Don't go away.
Want delicious Vietnamese, Asian, fusion cuisine that is so good for your health you won't believe your taste buds? Olac is a 100% plant-based vegan restaurant founded by Mai on living foods and a love for animals that won't make you sacrifice taste for health. 2 locations to delight you, downtown LA and Fountain Valley. So go to www.olac.com, AULAC, to book your reservation today. Saving the planet has never tasted so good.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And another important sponsor for today's show is Dr. Tiffany Tate, who you can find everywhere. Not only has she books out, she does coaching as well. Dr. Tiffany, what can you offer folks at your website?
You can find my website at www.drtiffanitate.com. And I'm available to speak, do live readings of my books. You can find my play. You can find my book, Floetry, Bad Touching, The Little Engine Mia, and soon to be released, Money Matters.
Fantastic. And I just did that just to show you how easy it is. This is a woman who has gone through the kind of change that I love to highlight on the show, where, you know, you go to school, you were prepared to spend a lifetime doing a career called OBGYN, and then life happens. She had an accident, and as a result of that, she cannot practice. However, it was the turning point for her to realize she could do a whole lot more. And that's why she's my co-host here. As you can see on her website, there's many ways to get in touch with her, many ways to receive her unique talents, gifts, and abilities. So thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for providing yourself and being co-host on this show. All right, and there's that there. And we're back with the topic of gut envy. And we have dissected pretty well the real parts of what it's like to live with envy. I did forget one example before the break, which is I actually had someone come up to me and say, I wish you wouldn't talk about the good things that are happening in your life because it makes me feel bad. Now, I definitely wanted to bring that up because my first response was, oh, I'm so sorry, and I won't do that anymore. Tiffany? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that's related to envy, right?
Yes, yes. And I would actually disagree. I think it's important to talk about the good things in your life, because if you only talk about the bad things, that just pulls people down. And maybe that's the Pollyanna in me, and I will own it, and I will not apologize for that, because the Eeyore response is to just walk around, and be the Debbie Downer, as people would say. No offense to all the people named Debbie in the world. And so
well, that's balance with Debbie Does Dallas. So sorry.
Yeah. And so I would say that talking about all the good things going on in your life could also serve as encouragement and motivation. And actually, that could be used as a template for something for people to strive for. I know I look at it as a motivator. I'm like, okay, you doing all the wonderful things that you do as a strong female role model is a good thing. And I'm like, okay, she's out there, she's doing her thing, she's a best-selling author. I think that's fabulous. I think there's enough success in the world for everybody to be successful. I don't need to replace you. I think I can do that too. And I think when it comes to comparisons, I don't think I need to compete with you. I think we both can be successful. And I would say to whoever said that, bless their heart, bless their soul, and maybe God can hopefully make them whole and encourage them to find whatever drive that they need to get themselves together and find whatever motivation they need to move forward, because it's something within them that may be broken that they need to stir up.
Mm-hmm. And to give them a break too, it is a cultural norm that you don't toot your own horn, especially if you're a woman, and especially if you're a woman of color. So in that sense, it is unusual to have a woman of color actually toot their own horn, which is something that I had shame around for the longest time. And I was just talking to my older daughter, who has a great job in leadership position in a big pharmaceutical company. And she was complaining about, why is it that men in her workplace have no issue with tooting their own horn, but if a woman and a woman of color does that in a meeting, she's looked as, whoa, like what makes her think she's all that? And we also don't help each other as women. Usually men will say, look what this guy did, and puts his hand and pats him on the back and lets everybody know. A woman said something good happens and you're like, I wonder who she slept with to get that. Right? We have a tendency to be so mean and not do the very thing that would help us rise in levels in the organization. So there's another, just a little, it is a shame. At the same time, we have to work at changing those kinds of norms and you did it with your daughter on the show the other day. Mm-hmm. She didn't say, I graduated summa cum laude. You said, and she graduated to a proud mom. But, there's that. How do we teach our kids that it's okay to drop those little, woohoo things, and you don't have to wait for someone else to do that for you? It's a very, very fine line. I just got asked to teach this course that I teach called Be the Best That You Can Be, and broadcast it, because we're not taught how to non-threateningly or less threateningly toot our own horn so that people see your value without getting turned off. It's almost impossible if you are in a culture that does not approve of that stuff, right? That does not see it as valuable.
That's a whole nother show. How to sell yourself without coming off being a narcissist.
Next week, let's do that. Because it really is a necessary skill set. Because you can be great at whatever you're doing, but if you don't know how to brand and market yourself, no one will know. But it is a fine line between branding yourself and turning people off. And I have had people openly criticize me as a self-promoter, and it would shame me to the point where I would want to go back and be a wallflower, which I can never be. But that feeling of shame and hate and hurt. And then one day, my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, says, are you kidding me? Right? You want people to say that, because then you're doing well with what you have. And I was like, that's real advanced, but I'm happy to say that 15 years later, I get it. And yes, I still have people that criticize me to my face, and it's okay. Most of the time it's okay. It's like, thank you for your feedback. But most of them, that group, have now turned around and asked me to help them with their event. So
Absolutely. And I think it's important to not take stuff like that offensively, because they were comparing themselves to you in a toxic way. And that's what we were talking about, because there are different levels, and you want to use it either in a way that's going to encourage you and uplift, and not in an envious way. Because I can compare myself to you and say, okay, I want to be as successful as her. That's a healthy comparison. And I want to use the template that she used, and I want to figure out what steps she took so I can model my life and do these things. And this is the template that she provided. So if I work hard like this, and if I dedicate myself like this, I too can be successful. I'm not going to be her, but I can be me. A lot of times we place ourselves in a race, and you're not racing against me. So there's no reason for me to race against you. And a lot of times when we try to compare and compete, you can't compete in a competition that nobody is competing against you in. A competition requires two people. So if we're on a track meet and we're racing, that's a healthy competition, because we're both in the competition and we're running together. But if I'm in a competition against you, you're not in competition against me. That's crazy talk. So we need to be practical when we're doing things professionally, socially. You can't say, okay, I'm going to be in a competition against a supermodel. That supermodel doesn't know you. That Instagram model doesn't know you. There's no reason for you to starve yourself trying to be like that supermodel. Be the best you can be. Be practical in your goals. And these are the things that you need to do. You don't need to do anything that's going to harm you, that's going to hurt you.
Mhm. Well said. I want to go back to an earlier point you made that was brilliant, which is um, a lot of the time envy springs from the BS belief system that there's only so much of something. There's only so much attention in this world. And if you're getting a lot of it, I'm not getting my share. If
Mhm.
you're getting a lot of money, then you're taking away from my share. That fixed pie notion, right?
Mhm.
You're taking something from me because of your success, which is bullshit talkie. Every single one of the 8 billion of us have a unique talent, gift, and ability. You are one of a kind wonderful, whether you choose to hone that ability or allow that and tune yourself and use the hashtag discipline you need to work on that and share it and use it. That's up to you, boo. It's got nothing to do with me. And so that whole exercise in looking at someone and comparing yourself to them is a futile exercise. As you said, we're not they don't want you to be them. I don't want people to be me. Michael Bernard Beckwith doesn't want followers. He wants leaders. He creates leaders to shine in their own individual way. As I'm sure your pastor does, or whoever, is a role model for you. They don't want you to be them. They
Mhm.
want you to be the best you can be with what you have. So there's the public service announcement for anybody who's looking to somebody else to be like them. Don't be them, be you. Use your own, meditate every day, connect yourself to a power that creates the world so you can get some, encouragement. The universe is conspiring for you, never against you. And you're here on the planet to have a good time, to know that you're 88% fabulous. Try to avoid the 12% that isn't, but it's part of you. And the best example of this is when I take a breath, I don't take anything from you. There's more than enough breath to go around. When you breathe, you take nothing from me. So hopefully if you're feeling green, this will be one of the few times that you will see it as something that you want in your life. You choose how much envy you can have in your life. And that sounded like my final word.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the best ways you can figure out who your real friends are is by knowing who is real and present when you're successful. not when you're down and out, because some people will rally around you when you're not in the best shape. But if you're successful and they can, and I'm not talking about financially successful, if they can come around and cheer for you when you do something well, because sometimes if they're very envious of your successful, they'll turn away because they don't want to cheer for you and they don't want to see you successful. And if your real friends are there for you and are able to cheer for you in your moments of highs as well as your lows, that's probably your true friends, not just your family. Your family, you can't help who you're related to. Sometimes they're there for you, but your real friends will be there. And as far as in your relationships, they're always like a roller coaster. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. And I have a quick poem that I'm going to read to you called Love, Love from my book, Poetry. And it says, I love love and the idea thereof. Cupid's arrow must have given me a shove into a love unanticipated. I'm glad to experience this love long awaited. I love love and the joy I feel. Spending time with him seems so surreal. I never thought that I'd be in this place. I'm so excited just to see his face. I love love and my happiness inside. I'm excited to take this ride. His love provides me an emotional high. I don't want our love to ever die. I love love and don't want it to end. If he breaks my heart, it might not mend. Despite the risk, my love I freely give. May our love forever live. So, no matter what you're going through, try not to compare your relationship, try not to compare yourself, and be the best you, and to always remember, do you, boo?
That's beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. And that is from her book of poetry, Flowetry. You can get that at her website or Amazon and just Google that. So we've been talking about got green, got envy. I think we've concluded that it is of all the emotions. I mean, it's human to have some of that, maybe a tinge of it, enough to add to the blues to make a beautiful, I don't know what's blue and greens. Never mind. I was going with the primary colors. That didn't work out. But I love the movie that is not only allowing us to talk about emotions. Isn't it wonderful that our society and planet and world is now more comfortable talking about feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Feelings, nothing more than feelings. Yeah. Did you, on a side note, did you know that I used to have a fantasy that I met Barry Manilow in the airport at the baggage claim and he locked eyes on mine and fell in love with me. This is when I was a teenager.
I know that. Okay.
I don't think I've ever told anybody that either. Right. Just tell
everybody. It's important to make sure they don't get caught in the social media trap either, because that can really spawn a lot of keeping up with the Joneses. And if your life isn't as perfect as you want it, just beware of the social media trap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is so, it is a trigger to compare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but you have to remember that everything that you see has either a filter or a photo editor or a writer. And now with AI, who the heck knows what's real and what's not real? That's what I was thinking. I hope I don't hit the level that people start wondering if it's me talking or not. If it's really me. And that is one of the issues with AI. But again, choose to just focus on the good things about AI. I'm not going to live in fear. That's a little side note on AI. But directly to envy, you have a final word there?
Yeah, I think when it comes to envy, try to just avoid it if possible. I know it is a natural thing for it to occur, and just try to push it aside and try to push pride down. It's something that's going to arise, but I think it's important to remember that your self-esteem is very important. And remember, the key to self-esteem is self. And as long as you keep yourself at the center of you, and go back and watch our journey to the center of you episode, I think you can kind of recenter and remember that you are important and you'll be okay.
Sounds great. If you do resonate with any of the things that we've been talking about today, I would ask the fundamental question. My final word is envy working for you? If it is a motivator and it is helping you be better, right? That's the balance. You talked about that earlier. There's an aspect of it that might help motivate you. But if it's not helping you and it's a constant downer and it's constantly making you feel bad about yourself, then if the grass is greener on the other side, water your own lawn. What do you need to do to make you feel better? Quit comparing yourself to others. Just compare yourself to you. That is my final word. That is straight from the teachings of Abraham Hicks and Law of Attraction. You will have a miserable life if you're constantly focused on comparing yourself with whatever's out there, which maybe isn't even real. But if you can compare you with you and cut yourself some slack, you're not perfect, but are you 88% fabulous? If you can work on yourself to say you're 88% fabulous, then absolutely that's where the focus needs to be. That's my final word. And I think we have, let's see, how much time?
3 more minutes.
3 more minutes. Let's see. Tomorrow is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and James Hawthorne. We continue to talk about dating because I'm still dipping different parts of my body into the dating pool and our experiences there, how to make dating less HD, what I call as hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment. That's tomorrow. Please do go find something that you can give as gifts from Dr. Tiffany Tate between her books and her coaching as well. Today's Asian Oprah giveaway from my end is an audiobook copy of this little baby that I am taking into China, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. I am doing a book signing a week from Saturday at Easy Does It Bookstore in Long Beach, California. So hope to see you there. That's at 7:30. You can get all of this on both of our social. Instagram, you are?
Yes, I am Dr. Tiffany Tate Moore.
Fantastic. And I am a Doc Balance. And it is all about balance. Ready, Dr. Tiffany? It's about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day
ever.
We'll see you tomorrow.